I had made these videos, these upcoming videos, um, before, a while ago. I don't know how many days, maybe a week ago, maybe more. Time is just blended together. But I've just distracting my mind with things, and the reason why I got on YouTube was to challenge the cults. Even when I was an atheist, Satanist, the cults still bothered me. And it was Levian Satanism, kind of like Ayn Rand with a twist. Although I don't care for Ayn Rand that much, because I love history, and I see the period of history that I was most interested in was from about 800 BC to AD 800. I found that to be the most interesting period. And people often ask, well, aren't all religions cults? Didn't Christianity start out as a cult? Didn't all religions start out as a cult? Well, cult in many languages just means religion, and they won't use cult the same way American English uses the word cult. They'll call them sects. Cult in the Spanish cognate does not have the negative connotation. I think it's growing as the negative connotation that we have, but it just means devotion. And even in the older senses of the word in the Orthodox Church, we still use the cult of the martyrs, the cult of the Virgin. There's even things in personal religion of the cult of the warrior, which is just like devotion, or looking to for reverence. You could say that there was the cult of the Ark of the Covenant, there was the cult of the bronze serpent. There was reverence for the bronze serpent. It was the cult of Moses because they were listening to Moses. I'm not speaking it in that sense of the word. I'm speaking it in the sense of the word that has grown up from the 70s with the movements like the Moonies, the Children of God, the Hare Krishna, the Mormons, Jehovah's Witnesses, and how we distinguish between cult and religion is not belief, it is behavior. It is deceptive practices to get you, and most of the time they won't tell you what their intentions are. And people don't join cults. They join an organic farm, they join a yoga class, they join a martial arts studio, they join a new up-and-coming business, they join a social program. It's usually smart and intelligent people, but deceptive practices are used, brainwashing techniques are used, and it costs vast amounts of money, and it'll cost you your life, and it'll cost you your freedom. And to leave the cult means to sever friends and family entirely. It's very quickly can you see the difference between cult and religion when you look at it behaviorally. But we also have to understand that these behaviors, belief affects behavior. If you know anything about cognitive behavioral therapy, the belief affects the behavior. So whether it's in the form of a martial arts studio, in a pyramid scheme that becomes a cult like Quickstar or Amway, whether it's Chung Mu Kwan, whether it's the Hare Krishnas, whether it's the Moonies, and I will be talking about two different types of cults. There's the cults where we talk about, these very aggressive, dangerous behaviors, and then the cults which are the cults to Christianity, meaning those who deny dogma. And you may be a non-denominationalist, you may be a Protestant, you may be a Methodist, you may be a Roman Catholic, you may be Eastern Orthodox. All of these have dogma people generally think that as a Roman Catholic word, but that means something that must be believed in order to, you know, be X. Buddhism has dogma. Any religion, even ideologies have dogma, although they wouldn't call it that, but it is effectively that. The two dogmas that I will address that all cults will deny, all what are called Christian cults, and then we'll move into actual, basically these things that are total cult, that even go beyond religion, that you don't even need any God or spirituality, but it's still a cult because of its behavior. James Lifton did a study of Maoist China to figure out how did this happen, and that was some of the best research into behavior modification and brainwashing. And then we have people like Steve Hassan, who is an ex-member of the Moonies, who tried to help with Waco and the Waco cult. I'll go into that. Branch Davidians, Children of God, these things. But the two basic dogmas that the cults will always deny is one, the Trinity, and two, the hypostatic union. They will not confess Christ as God, as the sense that we know it as God Almighty, and they will deny the Trinity. You sever that, you sever people from the real presence of God. That's why I say, when I talk to Protestants and Roman Catholics, I say, I won't proselytize you. You don't need, the Orthodox Church is your home. Come to it, but you're a Christian. You step outside of these, you no longer have that. Now I can get into talking about the Oriental Orthodox and the Nestorians and the misunderstandings between those two. It's very complex. Essentially, they do profess Christ as God, and they worship Him, and they accept the Trinity. But all cults, all Christian cults, will deny the Trinity, or will say yes we have it, but then deny it secretly. Will be very deceptive about it. Pentecostal oneness, Mormons, Jehovah's Witnesses, Moonies, Children of God. These are destructive, lethal to your spiritual soul. Sorry, I can't really talk much. My brain, too much stress these last few days, but so this will be the introductory, and then the videos. And the first video will be defining Catholic. And many people have a very harsh reaction to that word, but to actually know what Catholic is. And it's not. I'm not talking about Roman Catholic, although that would come out of Catholic, and so would Orthodox, and so would Protestants. In the Protestant creeds, even the Baptists confess themselves as Catholic. So will non-denominationalists. And then I'll go into the Christian cults, and then individually Hare Krishna, Sri Satya Sai Baba, Kirpal Singh, Maharishi Mahesh, Jehovah's Witness, Jonestown, the People's Temple, Mormons, Moonies, or also called the Unification Church. And I'll go through, and then Chung Mu Kwan, Amway, things that you would not, Solar Temple, Heaven's Gate. But people don't join cults. They join, an outreach program, something to help urban youth, an organic farm, yoga class, a martial arts class. But it's not, a meditation seminar or something like that. And deceptive practices, brainwashing, cutting ties with family, the leader is of the full devotion, and the draining of funds and gaining of power, and that's what cults are about. It's power. It's almost like a form of rape. It's been useful to hear. May God save Serbia and Syria. Peace to you. Thank you for your prayers. Oh, it's still going, isn't it? Although I don't care for Ayn Rand that much. Because I love history. And I see the period of history that I was most interested in was from about 800 BC to AD 800. I had made these videos, these upcoming videos, before, a while ago. I don't know how many days, maybe a week ago, maybe more. Time is just blended together. But I've just distracting my mind with things, and the reason why I got on YouTube was to challenge the cults. Even when I was an atheist, Satanist, the cults still bothered me. And it was LaVeyan Satanism, kind of like Ayn Rand with a twist. I found that to be the most interesting period. And people often ask, well, aren't all religions cults? Didn't Christianity start out as a cult? Didn't all religions start out as a cult? Well, cult in many languages just means religion, and they won't use cult the same way American English uses the word cult. They'll call them sects. Cult in the Spanish cognate does not have the negative connotation. I think it's growing as the negative connotation that we have, but it just means devotion. And even in the older senses of the word in the Orthodox Church, we still